Okay. Hey, and we are live. Hey. Okay, well, just bear with me one moment as I do all the setup. I would so much like to cut these bits out, but I won't be able to have chat replays if I cut this out. So let me tweet, and we're live. And we go over to the red emoji. That means we're recording, because that's how things work. Join me for the Saturday afternoon stream as I play through the beginner's guide. There we go, and let's not forget the link. And now I will share this tweet to my friends, the people who will come and say hello. That's who friends are, right? Boop. Okay. Let's what else we got? We got them. We got them. And spam my entire Discord list. Have my Steam list as well. Boop. Let's try that one. Let's try that one. Okay. I think that's everybody. Yeah, I'd say that's everybody. So, yep, let's lower that, I'm over here on Steam. So I think I can turn... Hey, where'd OBS go? Oh, did I accidentally shut that? Hey. Oh no, it's right there. Wow. Anyway, let's open up my display. Hey, there it is. Okay. And Dan's there. Hello, Dan. Well, I am not starting this with no one here. That's nice to know. Anyways, let us begin. Well, let me get some water first. Streaming is thirsty work. Hey folks, welcome to the Saturday afternoon stream. It is the 19th of March, 2022. And today I will be playing the Beginner's Guide. Actually, let me click on the page. There it is. So, I believe this was released in 2015. Actually, I can just confirm that, can't I? Yes, 2015 indeed. I played this through pretty much, I think, at the time. No, it would have been a year or two later. Because I did a critique video on my channel about this in 2017, I think. Did it on the Beginner's Guide. And the game has stuck with me. It's made by Davey Wreden. He's one of the two people mainly behind the Stanley Parable, which is a very amusing narrative game from, I think, 2012. And this is Davey Wreden's follow-up. As far as I know, he's not done anything since this game, which is a shame, but also might be understandable once we get to the end of it. Now, I was kind of thinking, how do I explain the Beginner's Guide to those who haven't played it without giving away anything? Because it is a narrative game, and I think, what the game ends up being is important to what it is. But the premise is Davey, as a character, as the person who made this game, is showcasing a bunch of small games made by his friend Coda. Now, as we go through all these small little experimental, even art games we could call them, a greater narrative will emerge. But yeah, it kind of, the game touches on games as art, creating a game as a means of personal expression. And it has a lot to say about critics as well. And when you read into something, how can you read into a work too much? And maybe there's a danger in trying to make inferences about the mental state or the personality of the creator based on the work they create. It's that kind of, those elements that have stayed with me. But it has been quite a few years now since I played the game. So I've probably forgotten a lot of the details. That's how my memory works. It should be enjoyable. So without further ado, let's get started. Hey, and Dorcax is in the stream. Hello. Now, once again, I would love for you folks to tell me if my voice isn't coming through, if the game audio is too loud, all that stuff. I've also turned on subtitles. I realized when I played Jazzpunk a couple weeks ago, I didn't have them on then, and maybe some of the dialogue was interrupted either by my speaking or I wasn't coming through enough. So there are subtitles in this game. I hope they do not interfere. I think they will add to the experience, if anything. So let's just begin. Yes. Yep, I have my mouse and keyboard primed and ready.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Wreden. I wrote the Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And
it's dust.
Mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveyWreden @gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Okay, I wanted him to stop talking before I said anything, but oh boy, already. You get the idea that he's kind of maybe reaching too far in, eh? Just like, hey, I like this person. He makes these little games that he doesn't really share, and I want to look at all of them to try and find out what kind of person he actually is. There's already kind of red flags hoisted. So, let us continue. Hey, it's an FPS. Yeah.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Well, you know what? These are all made like with the Half-Life 2 engine. You can't make a game of that engine not have it be an FPS.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
Are there aliens?
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere.
I'm out of
But
weapons.
clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets.
Ah,
But ultimately,
I just found that out.
no, maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Yes, that's an important part of critiquing a work. You critique what's there.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Okay, that's useful. Point out little details like that. So yes, yeah, Dorkex has a very important point. You know, he even asked you for interpretations and talking about how we're going to go through these games to learn about Coda as a person, but as a player, you're not getting the chance to form your own conclusions. You are being told what Davey thinks these games are right from the get-go, and spoilers, but that is not going to change. As you might already tell, I don't know if you've seen my video or not on it, but at the time, even now, the idea that this kind of is a game on how not to be a critic really sat with me, because I'm like, but being a game critic's what I'm trying to do here, and this game is making me all kinds of uncomfortable. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of that embarrassment in this replay as well. But hopefully I'm a little older, a little wiser. I kind of am able to articulate my feelings a little better, my reactions, and
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth.
we'll see how things go.
Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Yep. Here's another thing. He doesn't allow you to play the games. He's like, there's a labyrinth here. Mazes and games are boring. Let's just skip past it. Get to the good stuff.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam.
Sacrifice!
It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Let me pause here for a a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Cool. Hey, I could have solved that labyrinth.
The beam causes you to start floating.
No duh.
And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this
Please tell me I don't sound like that when I'm narrating my videos.
Juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So
I also love seeing like an entire level from like top down, you know, seeing a 3D space from like a god perspective. I've always found it really cool.
The first game he made after leaving this one behind.
You know, if I try and find parts when Davey's not talking so I can talk, that's probably not going to happen, so I might just start speaking over him. I'll try and let the game play out, you know, as it's playing out. I don't want to deprive you wonderful watchers of the complete experience, but, you know, I'll find a balance, hopefully. The past was behind her.
So try walking backwards. Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
I sound like a young Gilbert Gottfried? Oh dear God. I'm trying to rack my brain. I'm like, what does Gilbert Gottfried sound like? Can I do an impression? I better not. Oh yes, the parrot from Iago. Yeah, I'm not going to ruin my voice by trying to do that. My friend Robbie, he does a really good Gilbert Gottfried.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Why does the future keep changing? That's a good question. I guess because entropy is bad? But also just here, I will admit, I mean, that's the whole point of the stream, right? Smaller narrative games, games that can be beaten in an afternoon and kind of enjoyed and digested and discussed rather than, you know, spending 90 hours clearing band camps. Not that those games don't have their place, but, you know, like my favorite movies I can watch over and over again. And one of the reasons I can do that is because they're not 90 hours long. Like my replay of Persona 4 I just did. You know, I love that game so much that I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to revisit this game in the future again. But I just had a quick playthrough through it. It took me 57 hours. I probably won't replay that game for years, if I ever do at all. I mean, that's a possibility as well. I might just look at it and go, I don't have the time. When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. And Dan, I didn't notice any lag on my end, and it looks like the stream's doing okay. Maybe it was just a hiccup. The future is always behind her. How will she find the strength to confront it? Ooh.
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Yay. We're done. On to the next one. Hey, I can move forward again. On a path. We're on a road to nowhere. You're now entering...
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would
nonsense
put
in nearly
bizarre
every
titles
direction.
like this one at the start of his games.
Ah, I remember this game.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Man, I kind of wish I could do that, just once I create a video, leave it alone, have it be in the past, just concentrate on making the next one. And I do to an extent, but I don't know. I'm always marveled by my past work. Kind of always drawn back to it. It always feels a little narcissistic, but I love the things once I create them. Pleading for people to pay attention because it gets better doesn't work. Hey, you gotta watch this series. It gets great in season 4. Sure, seasons 1, 2, and 3 aren't that great, but if you put up with it, oh man, season 4 is awesome. Slowing down.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Now, I remember looking into this. You get an achievement if you spend I think it's about 10 to 20 minutes it takes to get to the top of the staircase at this speed. But, well, I'm going to do this for a little while because this may be one of the only opportunities I have to talk. But no, I won't be doing that. We'll be using Davey's game modifier. This is the second time he's modified one of Coda's games, so we don't have to interface with the boring or annoying parts of it. Keep that in mind. Let me just see chat. Still waiting for a good season in my life. I am very particular to winter. There we go. I pressed enter. And we are in. Stand on an X staring at a bear for 3 hours. Game filled with chairs except when chair is floating. Sharks are trying to eat you. Simultaneously, you are trying to eat the sharks. You construct a wall. The wall is destroyed. You are given a medal.
Little ideas.
Live in a boat, taking orders from the captain. The captain is always wrong. You must address and rally a group of eager press reports.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
You are a gate. A button you press to stop the chaos that doesn't work. Oh, I wanted to read more of those. Those are great. See, just the idea of making little experimental art games as expression is such a lovely idea to me. And I find it wild that that idea seems so fresh and novel because, for years now, I've personally toted yes, games are an art form. Of course they are. But it's like, when you're a teenager and you're drawing doodles in your notebook, or, when you pick up an instrument and just make a riff or sing something to it, or, you paint or you write. Creative expression. All those things are art forms, and you can just make a stupid little thing that's reflecting what you're feeling, and it's still a piece, it's still a work, it's still its own thing. Yet with games, I guess because, especially now, they're so expensive to make, and usually they require teams of people and millions of dollars, and even if you're an indie person, working on yours by yourself, like, what was it, Pixel, who made Cave Story, he made that himself, but he worked on that, after work for 5 years. So yeah, the idea that this person Coda can I have these ideas that reflect what I'm feeling, or I have a funny little idea I want to try and I'm just going to make it. And at the moment, the point is he never shared them with the world. He just shared them with friends. It's Davey who's sharing these pieces with a larger audience, but I find that really cool. Once again, yeah, if games are an art form, which duh, of course, this thing should be far more common. And maybe because of platforms like itch.io, it's becoming more common where people can just make their fun little thing and throw it up there and, yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop pontificating now. I'll look at chat, I'll have a drink, and we'll continue onward. And Bishy Killer's here. Hey, Kenneth. This room. I remember this one.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
I'm so mad at Davey even at this point, because it's like I could have, played with it. There's a lever, there's a door. I could have worked that solution, go, hey, a puzzle. But no, even before I get to the effing door, he's like, hey, here's something new, a puzzle. See if you can solve it, okay? Davey. Yes, Dorkax brings up, Hollow Knight has 3 people. One person made Stardew Valley. Axiom Verge, one person made that. The thing about Stardew Valley is he was lucky enough to have I think she was his fiancée at the time, just completely support him as he worked on that game. It paid off, but how many people are lucky enough to be able to do that? Because actually, here's a story about creativity, and Dan's in the chat. Dan and I created a comic in the late 2000s. He was the writer, I was the artist. I wanted to finally do a 7-day-a-week comic. And I was working a job at a supermarket at the time. And I would come back from like an 8-hour shift, and I would not have the energy to draw at all. And so eventually, powered on as long as I could, but the thing petered out because I just did not have the energy to be able to dedicate to this creative endeavor. Now, was trying to do a 7-day-a-week comic foolish on my part? Yes. But yeah, it's that thing with, people.
Right, let me just walk you
Oh,
You're gonna hit the switch on the outside to open
Ah!
the switch and walk through the door before.
Oh, Davey. I was telling a story, you ass. Well, I was getting mad when you were telling me the solution, so I didn't come across it. But okay, let's just solve the puzzle, so we don't have to listen to Davey tell me how to solve the puzzle.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
I hate you so much. And what are these 3 dots? Are you going to tell me what these mean, Davey? Come on. Tell me what the 3 dots mean. Tell me. Okay, I'm better.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
So here's an honest question. He's showing us 3 of these games, right? What is the purpose of modifying them? And how is that supposed to tell us anything about the person who created them? Yes, Dorkax, you've hit on something very important. If so many people didn't have to just work so hard to just survive, what could they do with their time? How much beautiful creativity would we have access to as a species? Ooh. Stairs. Okay. That was worth the modification.
More to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic...
Do you get it?
Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Well, we're back on the forest. On the forest. You are now exiting.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
The Great and Lovely Descent. Oh, this one. This one's cool. So it'll come back to me. Sorry, I just need to make sure I'm comfortable. We're gonna be here a while. Stay a while and listen. Because we're not here to play the games.
Game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
The structure of the
To make all of
Streetwise Fool.
Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work you're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at
I'm not going inside because I wanted him to finish talking before I did. Plus, I just wanted to make a point on his point. That's actually something I found to be the case, you know, spending most of my teen years and 20s being a cartoonist, is that, especially in a sketchbook, I would find I would draw very different things depending on whether I had like a 2B pencil, a mechanical pencil, a black pen, a blue pen, colored pencils, a marker, a brush pen. Yeah, it really was the tools I was using somehow traveled down different creative pathways. I don't know if that's the same for everyone who creates, but yeah, I found that to be the case. So his talk about how like using a particular game engine can influence what you create based on what the engine does well, I can see how that would be the case. Oh yes, Dorkax, this is basically like YouTube video essay, the game. Hey, it's your boy Dave here, and welcome to the Beginner's Guide. I feel dirty for saying that. I'm all choked up now. Oh god, this is cool. Yeah, I like this bit. Below the Streetwise Fool is this crazy Super Mario Galaxy level. Down we go, down into the abyss. Remember to smash that like button. Ring that bell. Hey, I've got a Patreon and a coffee And this this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Oh, see, I mentioned that which should not be named, and then I fell. Whoa, stairs. Yeah, I'm going back up. Oh, I can't go back up. Okay, down we go. Wait, huh? Okay. But that, another good point he makes is kind of one of the creative aspects of games, because level design is so important. That means that one of the prevailing art forms of games is architecture. Just how a level looks, how the spaces look, how you move through the spaces. It's very important. Shape your whole experience of what a game is. And then, of course, like the second layer, I guess, is then how you move or how you interact with these spaces. Move through or interact. NordVPN. Hey, Shane. There's also Audible. Don't forget Audible. And Nebula. What's this? Ooh. Pens. Now, I'm making fun of all these people taking sponsors and doing what they can to get people to watch and interact with their videos, but I would do this kind of thing in a heartbeat if I could. I would sell out so quickly. Hey, look at that.
Funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors took an hour before we If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Well, he's modified the game once again, but I'll tell you, if I played a game and the door closed and it did nothing after like a couple minutes of like, what do I do? And then I'd go online, of course, I go to Google, and then it's like, oh, you need to wait there for an hour. I'm like, well, that's when I quit the game.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. Whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through. And I would always defend that, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
That is definitely something I've thought about. Not whether a game should be playable or not. I tend to think all games should be playable. Of course, I'm not a game designer, just a game critic. So I might feel differently if I made games myself. Maybe one day. But I do find the idea of, what we consider bad game design being purposeful. Like, my example I always go to is Suda51 games. He tends to put things in his games that are tedious or obtuse, and he does it purposefully to make a point, or at least that's the impression I've always got from those games. Again, it could just be quote-unquote bad game design, but I don't know. I find the idea of like that stuff being purposeful fascinating. When is a bad game just a bad game? When it is a jar. Yeah, what Dorkak says about being fully in Coda's camp. Like, we don't know what Coda's arguments are against why games don't need to be playable. We only know that Davey disagrees with them. Or, and it's funny because the whole purpose of this game supposedly is learning more about Coda through playing his games. Even though we're not kind of playing his games, we're playing modifications that Davey is walking us through these games, often very obnoxiously.
Same solution as the last time.
Oh, really? I couldn't have figured that out for myself? Thanks, Davey.
there's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Oh, please do. I gotta say, it's also a little disheartening and reflective how the guy's name is Davey, and he's being this much of a twat. You there, did you come from up above? What was up there?
Begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Yes, there was a world stamped with whiteness. Yes, there was an enormous prison I spent hours in. Yes, there were these floating colored blocks. A world stamped with whiteness. That's the world above. You've been there. Now this is important. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Yes, I did. That was literally the last thing I did before coming here. Again, perfect. Now please tell us how you solved this. Tell us the solution. Tell us how to get to the other side. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. Oh no, but I do. We do. We need to get there. Do you understand? It is the most important thing in the world. We have to escape this prison. There must be an ending. I promise you, there is nothing I want more. Ah, and conversation is over. Okay, I just saw what you were saying in the chat, and I hate all of you. Moving on. God. It's these folks again. Hello, how did you get here? Was there a puzzle you had to pass through? Yes, do you want to know how to solve it? No, we actually find the black space between the doors to be far more interesting. Have you seen it, yes? Actually, now that you mention it, I remember feeling strange as I passed through it. Don't think too hard about it. You'll see it again soon. But the question is, will Davey tell us what it means?
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Ooh, lights.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something.
Oh, I've got feelings about this.
Which is what this lamppost is.
Once he shuts up, I'll let you know what they are.
We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Lamppost. Also, remember he said he'd explain his interpretation of the puzzle? That didn't happen. Thank goodness, but yeah. This game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. All notes you see are left by other players. Okay. Before I go on, also, that idea that just rubbed me the wrong way. He leaves a lamppost at the end of his games. I don't know what that means. Well, your purpose for all this is explain what you think it means, right? And then it's like, these games he was making before the lamppost, they all have no purpose. It's like, well, yes, they probably do. And because you're trying to explain what you think the purpose is, that's the whole point we're here. You should come up with something. You don't just say, the game is weird. I don't know why. Woo! Incidentally, my next critique is just going to be me going, the game is weird. I don't know why. Woo! 200,000 views. Nice room. Not.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're gonna see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually.
Uh-huh. Oh boy. I gotta say also, the idea of like a weekend game jam has always fascinated me. That idea that you get to go to a space, you have some prompt, and then you alone or with a bunch of people just create something small and cool. How do you beat this game? No point to this. Oh my god, there's so many. So many. And they're in spaces I can't get to, but I want to read them all. Whoa, holy shit. Language. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Reasonable.
Feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them.
Yeah, why would you?
Either way, to me, they convey a sense of loneliness.
Shut up.
I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
Do you know that other people have thoughts and feelings and beliefs? Wow.
It's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work.
Holy crap.
This is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Oh, you guys are right. I was just gonna say, back when I played this originally, I don't think I knew what a parasocial relationship was, or I didn't have the language for it. And now that I'm replaying it here in 2022, dear God, this is parasocial as heck. Yeah, I played this guy's games and I saw his loneliness in the game, and I felt that I connected with him on a personal level. Well, hello, Kirby's. Not losing my patience with the game, I'm just losing my patience with Davey, the narrator of the game. Who's with me? I want to tell you a secret. Once upon a time, I did tell you a secret. Define fun. Balls. That's all you have to say, really. Okay, I won't bore you folks with reading everything. What the shit is this cavern? Boy. Boring. Okay. Let us continue further down, down, down. Here's an interpretation. So far, in a lot of these games, we've been going down. That means something. But. Well, this guy knows the internet. Recognize me, please. That's the subtext behind every YouTube comment. But you see, Kirby's Davey is my friend, so it's okay, unlike him, who's not Coda's friend, so it's fine. You see? I'm not weird. Wow. A bigger lie has never been spoken. Ooh, art. New room. Okay, I'm gonna stop looking at all of these. Unless you really want me to go back and read every one, I will. Yes. Yes, it will. No, I can't jump. Well, I can jump, but I can't jump off the ledge. They thought of everything. Okay, let's stop looking at the notes. I need someone to talk to, but therapy's so expensive. Ooh. It's like a Monet Jackson Pollock. I'm sure they exist, but why, there should be like more virtual art galleries where I can just walk around like the museum space and look at the art on the walls. Sure, it's not the real thing, but damn, that would be impressive. Even more so in VR. Especially during the last 2 years. That would be amazing. From up here, it just looks like dots. I also like how it shows you the ones you've read. You know, for completionists. Okay, let's continue on. Oh, I don't know much about art, but I like that. Devil Tower Star. Okay, we're done here. Bye, folks. Let's just all go home. Ah, dear. Okay, well, we got a repeat, so... There must be a reason for it, though. His terrible secret, he kept it well. Oh, Anarchy Arcade. Yeah, that's,
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means.
Oh, goody.
These games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
Oh, there's weird whispering in the music. Become one with the spiraling nonsense. There's a life lesson.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
What is this one on the floor for? Help! Well, let me show you. Oh dear God.
A space between spaces. Before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Ooh, there's something up ahead. A 1,000 monkeys typing at 1,000 typewriters. Are you there? Please say something. Can't be anything. I just need you to say something. Talk to me, please. Right, so speak. And scene. Porn stars die too.
This one is tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Oh, so you're actually going to make me wait like the game wants me to wait this time? But I can't wait. I'm impatient. Let's go off exploring.
See, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
What furniture ought to go in the center of the room? Well, I mean, a TV with surround sound does sound nice, but there's also a fridge or a giant hole in the ground. I think we can go fridge. That's not a fridge. Where's the food? What about on the wall of the room? Huge picture of a horse. That's not a horse. Well, now I don't care. Tesla coils. Ooh. It's not going to be Tesla coils. It's going to be a lamp. Not even a light post, which means the game's going on. Tables were invented in 1935. Whoa.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
Remember I said earlier about just not calling something weird? Oh,
Starts over. This time he comes at the prison.
I wanted to explore the furniture warehouse. Damn you, Davey. Damn you. It's gonna make a point. It's like, you ever gone to one of those furniture warehouses and it's just really cool because it's this wide open space just full of chairs and sofas and desks and lamps. I don't know. There's something really surreal about exploring those places. First, click on this table. Good. Go over to the photo frame and click to turn it slightly. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off and turn it back on again. There's those weird holes again. Now go to the left side sofa. Move it over a little. Finally, touch the shelves. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. Weird. Return!
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Or maybe like an artist, he kept iterating on an idea until he got what he wanted out of it. You stupid. Wow. I don't think I had such disdain for Davey when I first played this game. Got no time for this anymore. Oh, jeez. Shane with the callback. Well done. I'd say you have to go back to my Abzu playthrough for that one, but you know, because I edited it, there are no chat replay. There is no chat replay. There are no chat replay. Phone. Hello? Who is this? Hey, it's me. I'm you after you escaped from prison. You're me? So you were trapped in this prison too? Yes. I was in the reverse prison.
And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
No, art is expressing yourself. It's very healthy. You're getting your feelings and thoughts out. You're not holding them in and spiraling inward, you fool. I guess I feel strongly about this kind of thing. Yes, I did get called. That's how I escaped. What did they tell you? What did you have to do to get out? They just talked to me a while. What? That freed you? The truth will set you free. It will make sense. Okay, I can talk. Let's just talk for a bit. Will you be here? I will be here for as long as you need. And
I
scene.
can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
This game is hurting me, man.
Look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself.
Okay, guys, it is 2, so I'm going to take the break. We're going to take our first break. Oh, boy. Let me just see what chat is saying. Davey, best antagonist of 2022? Maybe. We'll see. Okay, folks, I will be back in about 5 minutes. Until then, enjoy yourselves. Hello, folks. Again, I return. Hope you've been doing well. There we go. We're back here. We're already at chapter 10, The House. Or not The House, just House. You know, like that wonderful Japanese horror movie, House. Okay. So, it looks like you've all been enjoying yourselves. Even if you want to defy me. I realize that the reason Davey might be getting my goat a little more than usual is just... you ever had that day when just all your neighbors are like blasting music or radio or TV and just... You're just why can't you just use headphones? Why can't you just be nice? So, let's go on to something nicer and continue to... walk through Davey's explanations of Coda's games.
To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the 2 doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Okay. Oh my goodness, I'm glad as all heck that you showed up. That I might be having to clean this entire house all by myself, and right miserable that would have been. Everyone knows lonesome hands make lousy homes. Are we cleaning this whole place?
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games.
That's the story, little one.
Including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Run into the bedroom and make the bed. Well, there's no bed in the bathroom. Why didn't you straighten out the rug? I can do that. All the little details matter. It's been a long time since I've seen a house this messy. This line of work, you let go of those judgments pretty fast. It may not be your apartment, but something in your life needs straightening up. You think you got nothing that needs clean? Be careful, because that means it's everything. At any rate, my place is just to see a bit of peace brought here. Speaking of which, the pillows on the couch are a wreck. Would you come out and straighten them up? And Dan just beat an Elden Ring boss. Congratulations, Dan. I feel compelled to share an incredibly cheesy personal insight. You okay with that? Make it especially cheesy. No. No, it was stupid, sorry. Never mind. Hey, those dishes need to be washed. Why didn't you come do that? Oh, but I wanted the insight. I want a Coda insight, not a Davey insight. Plus, I checked the tub needs a clean. How about you scrub it down as best you can? No need to be perfect. We're all just human. Are there still books scattered on the floor in the bedroom? If so, would you put them back on the shelf? Oh, that is a disorganized shelf. Perfect. Now then, how about you come and clear these dishes off the table?
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
Whatever work you do, you have absolutely got to own it, otherwise it owns you. So why don't we be with the task at hand and leave the future chores to future you? Present you wants to smooth out the rug in the bedroom, believe it or not. Trust me on this one.
Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
Hey, we're gonna get the cheesy dot. One's house is a lot like one's soul. You take care of it, and it takes care of you. Don't know why I felt so weird about saying that. But there's a bit of truth in it, no? Anyway, so, housekeeping. Let's keep doing this. Books, would you please clean up the books? Thanks.
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
Question. Do you enjoy
Of
this?
course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
Yeah, the music was very pleasant in there. And then it was ripped away from us because of the lamppost. The lamppost is
That's the whole
evil.
point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
Dun dun! Items you love at members only prices. Why did you come here today? Was it to improve your life? Was it to get a better job? Was it to make your relationships more meaningful? No. You came here to become perfect. This workshop is going to teach you how to be perfect. I want your friends, the people in your life, to look at you and think, wow, this person is a better human being than I am. Right now, who do you think about that way in your own life? Is it Dave? I think it's Dave. Who do you know who's so well developed as I couldn't keep up that facade. They make you feel disgusted with yourself, compared to whom you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful. I intend to make you into that person. Perfection is within your grasp. And the question is not how do we do it, but how do we do it effortlessly? This is easy. It is so easy. It is so easy.
Halfway through the game,
Being perfect is effortless. Oh, yeah, I really like that.
and you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also,
How dare you?
around the classroom now.
Yes, I'm the type of lecturer who likes to move around, trying to escape the endless, gaping maw of hopelessness. Hi, Ma!
I felt pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of this game. I thought that was very clever.
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
Architecture. Ah, this one. Yes, this is an interesting one. All right, the performance is beginning. Places, please. In this scene, you will be playing as me. We are at a gathering of professionals. First, you'll start out leaning against this wall. Good, stay right there. The woman across the room in this chair is a professional photographer of animals. It's your dream to photograph animals professionally. This is your one chance to learn something from her, to gain something, to succeed. Go on, say something to her. Where's the bathroom? What are you doing? You're deflecting. You're not saying what's actually on your mind. Stop dancing around it and have a conversation with this person. Do it again. Where's the bathroom? Here are all of my hopes and dreams. No. That's not what I said to her at all. You're completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was just that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's that you need a better feel of the setting. There are a lot of people around us. I'll give you some props to work with. These cones that bounce when you touch them will represent the people nearby. Now talk to her again. You'll figure out a conversation gets that personal that quickly. Do you not realize how important this was for me? I'll never get another opportunity like this again. Everything was riding on this. I want to try something. Try stepping back from the stage. The lamppost. The malevolent lamppost. No. No. Anyway. Let's walk down the endless corridor. Oh yes, now this is working. This is what it was like.
What's going to happen next in Coda's life? The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very helpful when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
Moby's trip. To play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed. Click to begin the game. Well, there is no way I'm closing my eyes on stream. Who knows what you all will get up to? What's going on? Help, I'm blind. Please, someone talk to me. I can't hear you. I am blind. Ah! The door.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
I just want to see the door come and obliterate me. Ah! 5 months. That's how long I take to make my new videos. The lamppost will protect us. I can't keep making these. Yes, that's it. That's the truth. It's draining me.
Like I said, I was getting concerned. First off,
Keep going,
he's
keep
never been
talking.
this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way. His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
Oof. Hello. Where did the silence come from? Is that a person? How lovely. It's been a long time since I talked to anyone. What's wrong? You look lost. When I try to create, I feel empty. Oh no. What's happened? Something change? I'm trying to find this engine that used to protect me, to start it again. Wait, you're looking for a machine? I think I know where it is. It isn't far. I need to see it, to know why it stopped.
If the last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
Come along, I'll show it to you.
Because from my perspective at the time and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on. You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
This sounds like a you problem, Davey. Yeah. Okay, here we are. There's no machine here. Trust me, you'll see. You have to say that your work is fun and easy. You have to say the game development is simple and joyous, that you love it 100% of the time. Is that someone crying in the mix? I think it is. Wow. Ah, that feels wonderful. Why did the walls just crumble? Don't worry about it. Just keep talking. Keep saying that creation is easy. Oh, there's nothing simpler. It is easy. It never stops being easy. Lie for me. Yes, that's wonderful. Keep going.
this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering.
Tell the AAA industry that, ba-boom, tsh. Let's see. Just never stop creating and you'll never feel bad. Yeah, that's how it works. Oh, boy. Perfect. That feels fantastic.
And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me.
Where's the machine? Patience, you'll have to trust me. I promise this will work. Please continue. Pain breezes effortlessly off me. Any sacrifices made for my work are worth it 100% of the time. It always pays off eventually. Yes, more. Keep going.
This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop.
Well, you can't stop playing the game, you know. I will be saved by my work. Ooh, Shane's talking KFC. Incredible. That's it. I'm free. I'm free. Ooh. Actual human model. Oh.
But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
The machine. I just thought of something stupid. You know, Coda has a brother. His name is Prologue. Ma'am, glad to see you've arrived safely. We've captured the machine. It's waiting for you now. You can begin the interrogation whenever you like. I intend to be quick. Very good. Just be warned that someone called the press, so we might have a bit of attention on this one. Also, one more thing that you should know about the machine. It calls itself Coda. Dun, dun, dun. Oh my goodness, the press! The press! How depressing! Get away, you ghouls! Away! The machine. Here it is.
And of course, it's the machine.
Your work was keeping us alive. Those people out there, can you imagine what pain you put them through? It was only because of your creations that any of us could make it through every day. How could we possibly go back to trusting you to do this job? Oof. 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 I mean, those are all heavy things. So, what's the harshest guilt I can put on him? Yeah, let's go for other people. So here's what needs to happen. You need to go out and apologize to them. You have to admit to the people that you allowed them to suffer. I've been so alone. Apologize for leaving me. No, nothing. Think carefully. I know how to hurt you. Oh, dear. Yikes. I've seen the thing you fear. It is called middle age. All right then, I will apologize to the people on your behalf. Wow. My friends! It falls on me to deliver bad news. The machine refuses to admit that it deliberately hurt us. We will find a way to live without it. We do not need its games. Let us show it that we are not failures. Ooh. Follow me, we will destroy the machine. Or follow me, we will destroy everything that the machine has created. Whew, that second one seemed a lot harsher. But it was all a performance. Coda, I'll make sure you are known forever. Isn't that what you're scared of? Exposing the view of others every day, forever, singing naked clarity?
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback. So,
you
what if I
piece
did it
of
for it?
garbage.
The difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings. Would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence?
I know what's best.
Meaning back into his work.
Hey, it's the room at the top of the stairs with all his game ideas.
So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games.
Take that, you stupid puzzle.
People that I knew and trusted, I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work.
Oh
There
no.
was nothing for him to be afraid of.
That wasn't your decision to make. Put down your weapon.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend.
I did something.
I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best. It made me feel so happy, so beautifully.
Sadly, I know that feeling. When you share something you really like with your friends, you get the kind of like, sure, I didn't make it, but I'm sharing it with you. And I like it, and you like it, so it makes me feel good.
Anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
The Tower. Don't worry, Shane. I think if the game decided to do the Davey is Coda thing, we'd all be very mad. Also, it wouldn't make sense at all.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
It's a big tower.
Actually has a maze in it. Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise. So the experience is really miserable.
I apologize for anyone who's photosensitive.
It actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
Yeah, let's not do any more flashing lights unexpectedly. There's that distant hum in the background.
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end.
You had to.
But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze? The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here.
And you never
I'll put
will.
the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
He's like, I don't want to engage with the work anymore. Yay, safe passage. I mean, he could have just built another bridge. Is that yelling in the background, or am I just hearing people blasting music outside?
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges, and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that.
It's almost like, hey, I know this guy keeps modifying my games, so I'm gonna send him a game that you can only get through by modifying.
Was I a failure for not understanding this game?
You're never a failure for not understanding something.
Everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why.
Oh, Davey.
I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time. And as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them...
That's a lot of staircases. Don't know why I'm going this route instead of that route, but I am.
I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years, I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean.
Ha.
And he wouldn't.
Maybe he felt he couldn't trust you. I can't imagine why. Ooh, different colored lights.
I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy.
What is that?
It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me.
Don't you
But
see?
he stopped and left.
It was me who was sad.
Somehow, like I had failed. Where did I screw up?
Well, the answer to that's going to take some time. Dear Davey, thank you for your interest in my games. I need to ask
I am
you
the reason
not speak to me anymore.
games, aren't I? It's because of what I did.
No,
Isn't it for you?
no, no.
I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
You need help, man. You've so infected.
The people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, it was... I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
Rough pressure. You've so infected my personal space that it's possible I did begin to plant solutions in my work somewhere, hidden between games. Between games. If there was an answer, a meaning, would it make you any happier? Would you stop taking my games and showing them to people against my wishes? Giving them something that is not yours to give, violating the one boundary that keeps me safe? Would you stop changing my games? Stop adding lampposts to them? Yeah, that's the one that really hit me the first time. It's like, he wasn't just modifying them, getting you through the hard parts. No, I'm going to add a lamppost at the end of every one of his games, and then I'm going to talk about what the lamppost means, because that validates me. Psycho. Would you
And
simply...
then you stopped. And I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean?
Means he gets results, you stupid chief. Would you simply let them be what they are? Yeah, jeez, man. Yes, Dorcas, he added the lampposts himself, so he could then share the games and explain how clever he was to people. What they mean. You know, because that's what being a good game critic is, altering the work. So then you can explain what the altered work means. When I'm around you, I feel physically ill. You desperately need something, and I cannot give it to you. I literally do not have it. Struggling to come up with new ideas is not making me depressed. Low points are just a part of the process. Yep, peaks and valleys, man. I've had times I'm burnt out on videos, and I've had times where just the joy of the thought of a new video just propels me forward. The fact that you think I am frustrated or broken says more about you than about me. That's the other thing I've had to contend with a lot as a critic. I think it's the power of a good critic. What we have to say about a work is usually what we bring to the table. How the work made us feel, our experiences in life that resonated because of that commingling. It's like, yeah, you've got a piece of art here, you've got a lived experience, someone with their own unique thoughts, feelings, beliefs, life experiences, you know, what they've studied, what their passions are, and you meld those two. And if you're a good communicator, especially in your writing, you can then take that new thing and explain it to people. And hopefully by explaining it to people, they gain appreciation of the work, or they're able to reflect on how their own experiences impact the work. And yeah, I see criticism as a very, as its own form of creation, kind of opening the work up to a wider audience. What this is just perversion. And that's why it hit me so hard the first time. I got so angry at it. And also why, I guess, seeing all the warning signs earlier in this playthrough, I just had no time for Davey at all. I'm like, oh, the warning signs were here right from the beginning. And, what? It's just, ugh. Man. I realize that this doesn't make sense to you just yet. Which is fine. You're not my problem to solve. But I do hope that one day it clicks and that you make peace with this thing you are wrestling.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
So you want us to feel sorry for you now, eh? And when you finally see what I am talking about, don't say anything. Just shut up. Oh, boy. And look, we end with that puzzle. But there's no
That's
lever.
why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong?
Yes.
Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please.
It's called therapy, mate.
And all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
I'm sorry for violating your boundaries. Here, I violated an even bigger boundary. Forgive me. Epilogue. The Brother Dakota. Shane says I should sue the game for besmirching my good name. Nah, man, I've lived long enough to know that Dave's come in all shapes and sizes and temperaments.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
Yep. Validation never solves anything. And yet, God, I still want it so much. Please tell me I'm good. Tell me you like my games. Not my game, my videos on games. I can't talk. Ooh, a red door. That's game design, that is.
Solution.
That was the weirdest train ride I've ever been on.
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Or maybe just because you can't understand what the work is trying to say, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the work. Hey, look, man, I've been there. So many times I've ended a film, I'm like, well, what the hell was that? No one likes feeling stupid.
Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
Oh, no, Davey. We don't hate Coda. Coda's a frickin' hero for putting up with you as long as he did. Dan, I was already angry enough. Why did you have to bring up that movie?
Finding something to be driven by other than validation. What would that even be?
Gotta find it in the joy of creation, man.
But the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable.
Gotta do the thing because you like doing the thing.
I cannot conceive of what that would be like.
It's not always easy. You gotta fight that need for others to tell you you're great. Gotta just love creating because you love creating. Or, you know, it helps you. Seemed it helped Coda quite a lot.
What now? I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for. And so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Ah, yeah, Dorcax, I think you're right. Maybe he was talking about hating himself. But I don't know. Also seems like, if I show people how you snub me, they'll hate you for it. Because why would you snub me? I didn't do anything wrong. And if I did, I'm sorry. So forgive me. If you don't forgive me, you're a bad person. I'll tell everyone what a bad person you are. Look, it's Drain Lake in Alpha Stage. Whee! Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of the beginner's guide. Hey, we're back in the train station. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. They do say that admitting you have a problem is the first step on the road to recovery. But, it is just the first step. At least in my experience, it's a lifelong process. But that doesn't mean you don't put in the work. Because with every step, you get a little better. Oh, look! It's the beam that kills you. Brr. That makes you float. Call back. Amazing. Damn, man. That's a labyrinth and a half. When I was a young kid, I used to love maze books. The bigger the maze, the better. I find them pretty. Hurts your eyes, though. This is an allegory to recovery.
Turn back from this.
But Coda doesn't start with an R.
You said, let me prove that I'm brave. Let me keep going. But the cave goes for miles and miles and miles. And
Poor
you're
Coda.
so tired. But I know that you're strong.
Huh. Oh, I see a couple names in there I recognize. that it? Yes, that's it. Well, hope you guys enjoyed that. I do remember, my critique on it probably hasn't held up very well, but I remember kind of zooming in on plot holes the way I saw them then. Almost like I saw someone earlier in chat made a CinemaSins joke, and maybe I was too focused on that, like the things that didn't make sense, like, how can Davey have his realization that Coda doesn't like him anymore in the tower if he already played through that game in its entirety? He modified it to help us through it for this experience. And then it's like, if Coda never made another game after the tower, what were we playing during the epilogue? Little things like that. Which, on the second playthrough, I'm like, neither of those questions really matter all that much at all. I mean, ultimately, I think, this is a game about boundaries. A game about, not seeking external validation, not reading too much into things. Actually, no, that's not it. There is no such thing as reading too much into something, but it's that whole death of the author thing. You can't know a person from the work they create. You can look at the work and you can say, well, based on this, I think it means this, and maybe they were at this point in their lives and this is reflected in the work, but that doesn't tell you who they are. And because it's an interpretation, it doesn't mean it's right. It very much be wrong. And then you get into the whole thing, well, can you have a right or a wrong interpretation of something? I don't know. But, like, this is a better way of hitting the interactive art high point than a lot of higher budgeted titles. Yeah, because, again, I love that idea that Coda was just making these small little games that, expressed either an idea or a feeling, or he was just playing around. I think that's what a lot of the prison games, where he was just playing around with things. And, just the idea that you can do that. You can now, especially because, God, it's so easy to get free game engines for almost any type of game you want to play. There are tutorials out there forever. Actually, so here's an interesting story. Mate Kenneth and I, we a couple years ago when itch.io released the bundle for racial justice, he bought that and we started going through all the games, giving them a few minutes each, and we found some stuff that was very entertaining. Because the one thing about all the games on itch.io are that, unlike a lot of, if you just buy bundles out online and you go to Steam, a lot of those games will be pretty miserable to play, because a lot of them feel like either asset flips or quick cash grabs, or, someone's made their first game and then they thought they could make a lot of money off their very obvious first game. Whereas the vibe of itch.io to me is more of a, hey, I wanted to make this cool thing. I believe in this thing. It may not be good, but I wanted to make a thing, and here it is. And for the most part, I'm not charging you anything. It's free. So, we played a lot of games that had that vibe, and one of them was like a visual novel made by what I assumed was like a teenage girl. It had that real vibe of, I'm 14 and I'm making a lot of meta humor, and it's hilarious. Just like, God, I would have been until I was, 37? Haha. But, all the sound effects and even the music was done by herself, like singing and making noises into a microphone. It reminded me a lot of like the comic books I would draw when I was 14, with its self-referential humor and, look how clever I am. And yeah, just like if I was a teenager today with all these tools, I would probably be doing what Coda's doing, just making fun little things, throwing them up online, maybe just sharing them with my friends. Once again, it's like games are becoming more and more accessible to create. I think that's beautiful. And perhaps I have now waxed lyrical on my thoughts on this for long enough, but I was actually really happy to play through that again, to share it with all you. Oh, here's a question I have. Why do you think it's called the Beginner's Guide? That's something to think about. Because you know what? I don't have an answer. Not even an interpretation. Unless it's like how not to be a critic or how not to be a good friend. But, even then, who knows? So, let me quit the game. We'll go over to display capture window, turn that off. And you know what, folks? I'm very happy you joined me as I get indigestion right at the end. I hope you enjoyed yourself. It sounds like, for those of you who had not experienced the game before, you were taken back by it. And yeah, it's a pretty powerful game, I think. So until next time, folks, see ya. Bye.